Hello, my name is Nick Walker and I'm here to teach you about the history of theater and specifically where modern theater came from and the events that led up to it. You see, theater is very important to not just me, but to everyone. It's important to me because it's my craft, but it's important to everyone because every form of entertainment we have has derived from modern theater. Not just stage theater, but television, movies, even video games, all of those need actors of some kind, and that stems back to this craft. And this craft that we practice today, the modern version of theater, came from the changes in society and technology and culture that happened during the Industrial Revolution and the Age of Reason in the 19th century. And all of those changes worked to alter modern theater into what it is today. So first off, the Industrial Revolution and the societal changes led to people looking at things differently. Playwrights at first used these big, extraordinary characters, nobility, kings, important people. But as society changed around the 19th century and you see the rise of the middle class, people like playwrights started to focus more on the average person and their struggles because society started focusing on the average person and society started focusing on how to treat the people better and the public better. So playwrights kind of went along with this and accidentally created the subgenre of realism because they focused on the struggles of the average person. Directly connecting to that change is the lack of focus on the nobility, leading to people looking at the old social hierarchies differently. You see, around this turn of the century, society started to democratize. We started seeing democracy flourish. We started seeing society change toward democracy. And with that comes freedom of speech and laws protecting freedom of expression. And along with that freedom of expression comes theater people and playwrights being more willing to challenge the old order and to challenge our leaders. And that's when you start getting plays that are more willing to satirize the people of importance in these societies and to satirize the old orders of the monarchy and nobility and the landed gentry. And that's when you start getting people like Oscar Wilde and the playwrights that would make fun of the old order. When you get plays like The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde, you've got the nobility being portrayed as posh and arrogant and just, some of them are very just cutthroat and they don't really care about what they say and they're very open about how they oppress people. And that kind of way of thinking was protected by freedom of speech and they were more than willing to portray people like that. And one of the major changes, one of the most important changes in theater that happened because of the Industrial Revolution was the space in which theater took place and the technology that they used to put a show on. You see, up until this point, theater was done in these big, open roofed buildings, like the Globe Theater that Shakespeare was famous for, that would let light come in during the day from these open roofs onto the stage. And some of them would even be mobile. They would have both these Globe Theaters and wagons that they'd perform out in society because they weren't allowed to express themselves because they said something about the king or something like that. But at this point, you had around the Industrial Revolution, you had companies settling down in urbanized areas because they wanted more viewers. They wanted more people to come and see their shows, and they wanted to get that message out. So they settled in these mostly populated areas, and that's when you get people like Broadway companies. You've got Broadway and those people that settle down in these urban areas to get as much people packed in as possible. But one of the major technological changes that happened because of the Industrial Revolution was the invention of powered light and the light bulb. Light was natural in those days of the Globe Theater, but once you had powered light, you could change the lighting of the show. You could actually change the light that you used, so you could change the entire mood of the show by lowering or brightening the intensity of the light. If you needed an intense moment, a dramatic moment, you could turn it down. And if you needed to focus on someone, you could turn it up and focus the beam on them for their dialogue. And you added an entire new layer to theater because of that. And you had an entirely new dynamic to theater. So, to wrap up, once again, why is theater important? It's part of all of our lives. We see it all the time and we don't know it, but theater does not occur in a vacuum, and it comes from our society and the changes in society, and it comes from us. And we put on the show, and the shows we put on are about us. And we see it all the time. We don't know it. Television, movies, theater, those are all stories about us. And I think that's important because we have to tell our stories. I hope you learned something. Thank you.